This is Chris Chopik. Thanks very much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be speaking about distributed energy security, and its effect on the economic productivity of the province. And the reason I'm doing this is because these stories are deeply entwined, and our current energy mix is exposed, and it's exposed to what I'll call the biggest threat to our economic prosperity, and that's climate change. We've recently had a few tornado warnings. We had our first tornado warning in the city of Toronto in 2005, and that is bringing to bear questions about the security of our current dominant methods of energy and distribution in the province. Right now, most of our energy production comes from centralized distribution sources such as coal and nuclear, and travels over high voltage lines long distances. In the process of that happening, right here, we can lose somewhere between 7 and 16% of the electricity that's produced here at source, just because pushing those electrons along the lines costs that much energy. So we're losing a little bit of efficiency by through that transmission. But again, our most important and pressing concern is security, because we've seen ice storms, wind storms, and tornadoes threaten infrastructure. And in the process, if you imagine that the transmission lines that bring power to our businesses and to our homes suddenly goes down, what means is that the products that we're producing here, let's say bicycles for example, require people who may not be able to get to work because they're worried about what's happening at home, and energy. And so without energy, everything grinds to a halt, and it costs us money. Okay? So let's take a look at what that looks like. So we have a centralized distribution system. We have some infrastructure failure. But imagine if this happens in a different context, in a distributed energy context. If for example, these homes have solar panels on every rooftop, or if I take it to a broader marketplace, these homes have solar panels on their rooftop in an urban context where solar really makes sense because we have the density and we can't afford the land, and we are too close to the potential sites to do wind development. We may have neighboring jurisdictions that are very suitable for wind, but that are closer to our marketplaces. And what happens if we have a diversity of sources is this: if we have a power outage due to major infrastructure failure in our large transmission lines, so let's say that a tornado touches down here and it happens at night, well, these wind turbines are still producing electricity. They're producing electricity for the communities that are close to them, but because we're all part of the same grid system, they can also supply energy to other marketplaces when we have failures from a single source. So going back to our core message here, I just want to say this, that the security of our energy infrastructure as a result of effects of climate change, which we're starting to see more frequently and they're starting to be more severe, have a significant impact on the potential and future prosperity of our economic situation here in Ontario. And the more that we can do to create energy autonomy, where we are controlling the distribution and production of energy, and we are finding creative ways to minimize our risk from failure of major infrastructure, the more effective we're going to be at emerging as a leading global economy when the world is affected increasingly by severe weather and climate change. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll be posting similar stories about energy, green economy over the course of the campaign period here in St. Paul's, and I look forward to having opportunity to interact with you around these issues. If you've got thoughts on how we can make our community here in St. Paul's a stronger, more resilient economic place, as well as a stronger community, I am all ears, and I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me directly at 416-993-4870.